Denzel Washington famously said, "Dreams without goals are just dreams, and ultimately they fuel disappointment." If you want to achieve something, you need a goal. We talked about the importance of establishing a team that pursues a goal because you cannot do it alone. You need people that are key, integral parts of your business. Hopefully you already hired them ever since we spoke in the last data set. But now it's hire them for what? And it's to obtain your goals. So your 3 goals on the financial side need to be established by the end of this data set. This data set is designed for you to establish how much money do you want to make? Because a lot of you guys do not have that concrete goal. In order for you to know where you want to go, you have to establish a destination. If you want to determine how much money you want to make, well, you have to first determine how much money you want to make. So the question is, how much money do you want to make? And this divides itself into 3 segments. First, it's going to be your personal finance. So every time the business makes money, and we understand that if you want to make money, you need to provide a service, and providing a service is to be in business, you need to pay yourself. You need to pay yourself off the top. Every time money comes in, the first person that pays himself is the owner. Why? Because you need to take money off the top. And I'm not saying when the business is struggling or when the employees aren't being paid. Once everything's taken care of, the first thing you do is you pay yourself. Why? Because it's your sweat equity, it's your time, it's your effort and your energy and attention. And the reason you're going into business is to make money. The reason is to get rich. Unless you're going into business for charity, then you're not running a business, you're running a nonprofit. So now that we're in a situation whereby we understand that we need to establish a goal. Your goal should be an incremental goal. You can increase your earnings by 10% a year, right? It doesn't have to be insane, but you can't tell me that you can't increase your income by 10% every single year in a sustainable fashion, in a consistent fashion. If you can, then you're doing extremely well. But you need to have that goal. That goal will then lead to actions. But the team that you have cannot act unless you have an objective. So you need to have an objective for your personal finances. Your personal finances are going to be broken down in 3 categories. You're going to have your income, what you make. You're going to have your investments, and then you're going to have your assets, right, at a personal level. Now, you don't want to hold too much on your personal level. And the reason you don't want to hold too much on your personal level is because the governments around the world, they view most entities or most individuals as entities the same way that they would view a corporation or an LLC. So you want to be able to establish a person, yourself, that has a credit score and that has some sort of history, but you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket because you want your money secured within the structure of an organization, which we'll talk about your corporate finances, and that being the second kind of ecosystem you need to focus on. And you have different team players focused on different things, right? And in your personal finance, you have people more focused on preserving, making sure your credit score is clean, making sure your track records are good, making sure that everything is transparent and visible. On the corporate side now, which is the second objective, is your corporate finances. What are the financial core goals of your corporation or your organization? What is your yearly objective when it comes to revenue? What is your monthly objective? What is your weekly objective? And so forth. You need to establish these goals. Now, when it comes to corporate money, you don't have to pay yourself directly to yourself as a salary. You can pay yourself as a dividend. And there's countries that allow you to pay yourself in a dividend fashion that is tax-free. Now, unfortunately for the United States, you have to pay your tax on your dividends, but that's not the case in every single country. So if you form a structure with a specific team that your corporate finances are established in a very organized fashion, making sure that your personal finances are established so that you are protected, you have a good standing with the banks, and you have good credit, but without mitigating, and imposing too much risk, but mitigating it otherwise. And then finally, you're going to have your estate. Now, these are the people that are focused on preserving your money. These are people that are out there designed to make sure that when you're no longer able to work, and most of you guys are in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, you think that you're going to be able to work at the same pace and the same level forever and always, and that's just simply not the case. So once you have the opportunity to actually go in and grind, you need to be taking advantage of this opportunity so that you can actually build your estate. And you need people managing your estate from the legal side, whether you're building a trust, whether you have an insurance policy, It doesn't matter if you're building your wealth overseas or there's a lot of Chinese wealth in Los Angeles. A lot of it is deposited in real estate, right? But you need to have that estate set up, if that makes sense. Now you're in a situation whereby you have good corporate settings. You have cash flow coming in, so you can pay yourself dividends as you earn money. You can pay yourself dividends, and then you can also put money into your estate. But you need to be able to have these micro teams, and you need to have objectives for each pool. So the question is, for you, my friend, my fellow entrepreneur, a person that's trying to become financially free, what are your financial goals at a personal level, at a corporate level, and at your estate level? You need to be able to make 1-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, and then you need to be able to have an understanding of what you want your estate to comprise to pass on. Now, this needs to look not only just on the variable side of the stock market. I mean, like, I'm passing down a stock portfolio, but you need something that has a fixed income that is predictable and gives you cash flow, because we understand that cash flow is king and cash flow equals freedom. So we have the teams. Now we have the goals. And finally, we have to talk about the decision-making process as to when we make financial decisions, because it's not just about having a financial plan, but it's about when to execute on it, which we will cover on the next data set.